Good time of day, folks. This is Sharky Pro Diver, and this is the IB Survivor Diary, and that's my cat. So, one more test to discuss is the mathematics test, and it's gonna be on the topics of quadratics. So, with the help of our assistant, Mr. McGilbert, let's jam right into the quadratics. Because you know, quad is a square, and then rat is like rate, and then x is like x. That's funny. Let's go on. So basically, quadratic equation has a form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Well, a, b, and c are all real numbers, but a is not equal to 0. It cannot be, because if it is equal to 0, it's not a quadratic equation. And it's also important that if you want a quadratic equation, you always write equals 0 or equals something. You just don't write it like that. It doesn't work like that. So, and we also have a quadratic function, which is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. When you put that thing into your graph, it gives you a shape of parabola. Those two are parabolas. And there are two types of parabolas. Basically, the one you see over here is called a maximum type, and this one over here is a minimum type. To get this shape of parabola, your value of a must be less than 0, and to get this shape of parabola, your value of a must be more than 0. Well, when dealing with a quadratic equation, there are three possible ways to solve it. There is factorizing. Factorizing is basically saying that there is a product and this sum. And product will be AC and B is the sum. And it is your goal to find two numbers that multiply together give you AC, which is part of the equation, and added together give you a B. Let's see a worked out example. X squared minus 3x plus 2 equals 0. In this case, in this case, 2 times 1 equals 2 and is the product, and negative 3 is the sum. Now, let's think, which two numbers, when multiplied, give us 2, but when added, give us negative 3? And the answer is negative 2 and negative 1. Therefore, we do put those two brackets and we say x minus 2 times x minus 1 equals 0. If you don't believe it, let's work it out. X times x is x squared minus x minus 2x plus 2. X squared minus 3x plus 2. Perfect. And when we work this out, we get that x equals 2 or x equals 1. Case closed. Now, then there is the second part. What's that? Oh yeah, it's me showing you the factorizing. Sorry, I'm stupid right now. Basically, what if the a number over here is more than 1? In the case of 2x squared plus 7x plus 6 equals 0. In this case, 2 times 6 equals 12 and is our product, and 7 is our sum. Well, which two numbers multiplied give us 12 and added give us 7? Well, those two numbers are 4 and 3. And now what we do, we rewrite the equation as 2x squared plus 4x plus 3x plus 6 equals 0. Don't forget the 0. The 0 is important. And now we take the common factor if it's possible. In this case, it's 2x, x plus 2, out of those two, and 3 times x plus 2. Now those two brackets are the same, so we make it as 1, and we put those two numbers into another bracket, which is 2x plus 3 times x plus 2 equals 0, which gives us, when we work it out, that x equals either negative 3 over 2 or x equals negative 2. Case closed. Another thing you can do is complete this square, and that is something I completely and utterly hate. The reason I hate it is because, well, you have a form of ax squared plus bx plus h equals 0, and h is a number that does not allow you a perfect square. A perfect square is this, for example. A plus b squared is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. That is the formula. If you have it with the minus, you basically say a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So what we want to do in our equation is that we want to add a number that will make a perfect square, but h isn't this number. But hey, we know in this formula that basically like a squared and 2ab, right? So in this case, a in this equation is x in that equation, and in this equation we also assume that a equals to 1. If the a doesn't equal to 1, you can't really complete the square. Then what is b? Well, b in this equation is the same as b in this equation. And if we know that this middle part is 2ab and the other is b squared, well, shouldn't then the other squared part be b over 2? So having said this, I realize that this part is kind of wrong, so let's forget it. So basically, to get the b squared from this equation, we need to have b over 2, because it's bx, and that's the same as 2ab squared, and divided over 2, plus h, but because we added b over 2 squared, we also need to subtract b over 2 squared. However, having added this, we now have x plus b over 2 squared plus h minus b over 2 squared equals 0. Now, let's look at the worked out example of that. Basically, x squared plus 4x plus 7 equals 0. And as you can see, 7 doesn't really add up. So what we do is we take 4, which is the 2b of this equation, and divide it by 2, and then square it and add it and subtract it. And we end up, if we work out the bracket, that it's x plus 2 squared plus 7 minus 4 equals 0. Don't forget the 0. Oops, I think I kinda messed it up. Yep. And now the third and my favorite one is the quadratic formula. What does it do? Basically, it's listed as x1 or 2 equals minus b plus minus root b squared minus 4ac equal divided over 2a. Now, the part root b squared minus 4ac, also known as the d or delta. And basically, if the result over here is more than 0, there are two solutions that you can find. If the result is equal to 0, there is one solution, or as mathematicians say, there are two solutions but they are identical. And if d is less than 0, there are no solutions. Well, let's see an example. X squared plus 7x plus 6 equals 0. Now let's look at the d. D is b squared, which is 7 squared minus 4ac. A is 1, c is 6, and times 4, so it's minus 4 times 6 equals 49 minus 24 equals 25, and 25 is the same as 5 squared. So if we take out the root of that, it equals to 5. So x1 and 2 equals minus 7 plus minus 5 over 2. If I subtract 5 from negative 7, and get negative 12 over 2, which is negative 6, and if I add 5 to negative 7, I will get negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1, and basically if we make a graph of it, it kind of looks like that. Now, let's look at the quadratic function. The quadratic function, whoa, really? You gonna do this to me? Sorry for that. The quadratic function is the y equals x squared plus bx plus c. It's a parabola. And basically there are 4 points you can find out on it. The y-intercept, the x-intercepts, and the summit. Now, how do we find those 4 points? Because if you have those 4 points, to sketch a parabola is fairly easy. To find the y-intercept, we make the x value 0, and we get our point at 0 something. To find x-intercepts, we have our y value equals 0, and basically if we do a quadratic formula, what we get for x, 1 and 2, are those x-intercepts. Now, x value of the summit, which is the point, the turning point of the parabola, or the top point, or whatever you call it, there are 2 ways to find it. The first one is negative b over 2a, which gives you the x-coordinate, which you will put into equation, and you will get your actual y-coordinate. And the second, if you don't really want to work out the negative b over 2a, you can say x2 minus x1 over 2, and it will also give you x-coordinate for your top point or turning point or the summit. And that basically covers it all up for the mathematic preparations test, or at least everything that I have studied for it. I'm kind of looking forward to it, although I'm also quite nervous because mathematics isn't my strongest subject. But hey, I've seen worse. Oh yeah, and on a friendly note to end this, I finally put up a Maze Runner Scorch Trials poster in my room. And I'm telling you that putting that thing on my room, on my wall in my room, was the hardest I've ever done, because I'm telling you, I've done shit in the house. I was like hammering nails, I was, well, painting the walls, I was cleaning the apartment, but hanging that guy was really hard, especially because it kept like falling down, which is like really funny, but hey. Well, basically that's it for the IB Survivor Diary for this week, and I will see you again, hopefully soon, hopefully not, I really don't know. But I hope I see you, and we'll have a lot of fun talking about the IB surviving. That was Sharky Pro Diver, and see you next time.